Okay, guys, I want to talk to you guys about the father pattern. One of the things that I've witnessed in leadership, and it's one of the strangest things that I've discovered, it's that every healthy human relationship follows the same developmental pattern. What's that? Parent and child, teacher and student, leader and employee, mentor and apprentice. Every healthy friendship. At first glance, they seem all completely different, but they're not. Beneath the surface, they're built on the same invisible architecture. Someone who knows a little bit more, someone who knows a little bit less, and then you've got that interchange. Someone who's responsible for the teaching, even though we're all teachers and learners from each other. Someone who's essentially responsible for learning. And over time, I've come to believe that leadership is far less about authority than it is about parenthood. Basically, every human relationship is about parenthood. And it's not parenthood in the sentimental sense, it's more parenthood as a developmental function, as a tool of maturation of each other's nervous systems, as long as we can see that as an opportunity for growth. So there's a responsibility to help another human being become more capable than he or she was yesterday. And it's a responsibility that we all share. So when a child is born, let's say, we expect almost nothing from them. We feed them, we protect them, we guide them, and we repeat the same lessons thousands of times. And we repeat not because they're failing, but because they are essentially developing. And the remarkable thing is that the same principle continues all throughout life. You know, there's research nowadays that says unequivocally that brain plasticity is something that will last an entire lifetime. Now, that does have more nuance to it, but I don't want to deviate from the subject. What happens is most leaders reverse the equation. They hire someone and they immediately begin with expectations. They demand that targets be reached, that deadlines be met. They demand performance metrics, and they pressure the employee to perform in that way. But what if we started somewhere else? What if leadership began the way good parenting begins? With self-responsibility by the leader, the one that is responsible for the teaching. With patience, with connection, with the understanding that every person that arrives in your life will arrive incomplete. So when I hired people throughout my career, I expected very little of them on the first day. And I made that very explicit. I just expected basic competence and a willingness to learn. The rest was my and my team's responsibility to train and guide and teach and model and correct through repetition. So what I've seen as in terms of invisible patterns that happen over and over is that over time, the balance starts to shift. So at the beginning, the relationship is almost 100/0. The leader carries nearly everything, but every lesson that's absorbed transfers a small piece of responsibility. So 1% at a time, and then 100/0 becomes 99/1. And then 99, then 95/5, then 80/20. Then eventually something very extraordinary happens. The person no longer needs supervision. The lesson has become part of them. They have integrated into that lesson into them. And that's what I call micro teaching, which I think is a tool that all leaders really need to have. Small lessons repeated consistently, delivered at the exact moment the system is ready to absorb them, because there is such thing as system capacity. And that needs to be titrated in one step at a time. One of the greatest mistakes that I see in leadership is expecting understanding before development has occurred. So I remember trying to teach empathy to my young children. I would ask them, if someone treated you the way you're treating your brother, how would that make you feel? And I was pretty certain that I was teaching compassion. And why would they err again and again and again? Because if they lacked capacity at the time, what they mostly heard was just noise. And not because they were resistant, but because they were 4 years old or less. The lesson was correct. The timing was wrong. So development is not something that can be forced. Development can only be supported. Water shapes stone not through force, but through consistency. And leadership works the same way. Teaching works the same way. Human development works the same way. The best leaders understand something that many managers never ever learn, that people are designed to grow. Your job is not to pull growth out of them. Your job as a leader is to create the conditions where growth naturally occurs. What are those conditions? Connection. That's the first most essential one. That's just pure neuroscience. Teaching, micro-teaching. What I would call delegação gradativa, which is titrated delegation until that becomes mastery. And then you can fully delegate. And then the pyramid completely inverts itself and it's like 0, 100. And then they're ready for a new challenge and you need to feed them a new challenge. And the cycle begins again. Because human beings live well in that middle range of this is frustrating, but it is attainable. So it's like you want to have a nuanced look at what's going on in your work environment, what's going on with your people, like unlocking the next level into a video game once the prior level is concluded. And this isn't merely a management principle. It's an observation, it's more ample than that. It's about observing human nature. The same invisible architecture that builds a child eventually builds a team. The pattern beneath both is identical. And once you see it, you begin seeing it everywhere.